Hello, fellow Robo Capitals. Hope you're well. Today, I wanted to discuss the differences between traditional marketing and content creation, creating YouTube videos to generate the same or maybe even more leads coming into your business that you can convert to actual sales, revenue, and bottom line profit. So first and foremost, we want to do the screen share. And I want to go into just kind of a visual here. Josh, can you see this?
Yes.
Okay. So what are different types of marketing campaigns? Now, before we move any further, I want to give people a little bit of a backstory. Most people know that I retired in 2012, but what they don't know is prior to retiring, the last business I had or I was a part of, we spent about $400,000 a month on advertising. And when I say advertising, what I'm talking about specifically is radio, TV, direct mail. I'm sure you guys probably remember that. Josh might not. And we also were doing Google and Facebook at this time, but it was a much smaller percentage. So maybe 10%. So out of the 400,000, we would spend 300, let's just say 360 on radio, TV, direct mail. And then we would spend maybe 40 on Facebook and Google. And this was between, call it 2010 and 2012. Now, prior to that, we were spending, or I was spending just as much money in advertising, but we weren't really utilizing Google and Facebook. It was almost exclusively radio, TV, and direct mail. And it was all direct response. So I've got some background here. From that standpoint, I know what I'm talking about. And one of my first businesses in the early 2000s was a media buying company where I actually bought radio ads and produced radio ads, wrote copy, and did the same thing with TV for myself and other businesses. Okay. So let's see. Let's get into the different types of marketing. This is as of 2025. We've got social media marketing right at the top. And again, that pretty much didn't even exist back when I started doing things. Email marketing, that was a thing in 2005 and on. But prior to that, it really wasn't a thing. And oh, by the way, I forgot about cold calling. That was, Josh, do you even know what cold calling is?
Yeah, that's actually got a comeback. And now a lot of
Really?
young kids are doing cold calling. Yeah, there's actually been a huge trend of it recently.
Huh, that's interesting. So I was involved with a business in the early 2000s that almost was 100% cold calling as far as the lead gen for the sales. And then in 2000, was it 2003? Bush came out with something called the DNC, the National DNC. And this was the National Do Not Call List. You ever heard of this, Josh?
Never.
So what the national, I don't even know if they still have that. I assume they do. But the National Do Not Call list was meant to basically prevent telemarketers from cold calling people and interrupting them at dinner. Yeah, that was basically the gist of it, to buy votes. And so what they made, or what they did, is they had this national registry, which now that I think about it through a privacy and libertarian lens, I kind of, it's a head scratcher. I don't want to go off on a tangent, but man, maybe that's how they started to collect people's data for the NSA. But anyway, getting back to it, you could put yourself on a list that would make it illegal for telemarketers to cold call you. So what you would have to do as a telemarketer is you would have to take your list and you would have to scrub it through the DNC, and any number that was on a DNC, you'd have to take off your list. So do they do that now, Josh?
I have no clue what you're talking about, so I would assume not.
Huh. Yeah, because prior to the DNC, we would literally rip pages out of the phone book, or out of the white pages. You probably don't even know what a phone book is, but we used to have something called the white pages. And the white pages was a list of everyone's phone number in the local area. And so if we needed leads, we would just literally rip pages and we'd give that to the telemarketer, and they'd have to cold call those people. And when they ran out of people on the white pages, they'd have to just literally make up numbers.
Really?
Yeah, we were pretty hardcore back in the day. we were pretty hardcore. And I remember we used to give every telemarketer just like a station, like kind of not even a cubicle. It was kind of like a mini cubicle, like a table. But every single telemarketer, we would give them a pot of coffee, not in the break room. We would put it on their station, like in their little cubicle. They would have their I don't even know if they'd have a computer back then, but they would have their list, they would have a phone, and they would have a pot of coffee.
Nice.
All right, but getting back to it. So number 1 and 2 really didn't exist when I started doing this. Content marketing, that really didn't exist. Search engine marketing, that was just barely becoming a thing. Here we go, traditional advertising. So I guess what we can do here is go over the pros and cons. So the pros to traditional advertising is you could generate direct response immediately. So if you had the right offer, the right ad, and you were doing a radio spot, as soon as that radio spot hit, within seconds, if you had the right message, the phone would just boom, light up with people calling you. It's much faster, I think, than even social media marketing today, because you can do a YouTube video and have people call you, but there's a lot more that goes into it other than just picking up the phone and telling your rep at Clear Channel that you want this ad to run today at noon or something like that. So, Josh, what's your take on that being one of the pros, one of the benefits of traditional advertising?
Yeah, I mean, paid media will never go away because you have such a quick feedback loop of if you run a paid ad somewhere and then if you have a good offer, if you have a good ad, you can turn $1 into $10 and you can keep on doing that until it doesn't work. So most companies at scale, they usually have two marketing channels, and one of them is almost always some degree of paid advertising.
Yeah, but I'm not talking about paid ads. I think it's interesting. You're in the age group that you immediately just go to paid ads. I'm talking about radio and TV and direct mail.
I don't know anyone that has a TV that uses traditional cable. I actually don't know a single person, if I'm being honest. Same thing with radio. I don't know anyone that uses radio either. So honestly, I would just say it's basically the same thing, but on paid media, on social media. Paid ads, I would think are pretty much the same as old radio and TV
If no
marketing.
one's using it, do you think it's an opportunity?
I don't know. I mean, I don't even have a TV that I could even find one of those advertisements on. Maybe
When's
if
the
your
last time
target
you listened to
audience.
the radio?
Oh, I don't know. It would have been maybe in the Ubers in Colombia and when it's speaking in Spanish.
Yeah, yeah, that's probably a good point. So I think the bottom line here, guys, is with traditional advertising, you may want to include it in your mix, but only if you're trying to target people in an older demographic. So if you're trying to target anyone under the age of 40, probably not a good idea.
Good luck.
Yeah, but an example of this, Josh, would be, let's say you're working with Jeff Snyder and he's got a product that's whatever it is. It's an info product that would be applicable to the retail investor. Do you think it would be wise to advertise on CNBC?
I think it could be. I mean, his target audience is the opposite of a CNBC watcher. But for that type of info
I'm just
product,
like a
where you have a
hypothetical.
financial services
Yeah,
where you have an info product, yeah, I think that would do very well. But
I think
I think that that's a lot of that is being streamed not on someone's TV, but on their laptop through social media or like the
hmm.
web. I mean, I don't think that's being shown on an actual TV.
Oh, I think it is. I think it's both, but I think it's like my sister as an example. That's all she does is she wakes up in the morning because she manages her own portfolio. So as soon as she wakes up in the morning, she turns on CNBC, the TV, and she sits there and she has it on in the background all day long.
Hmm.
Like Peter Schiff, I
Yeah.
know he does the exact same thing. But to be clear, that's an age group that's over the age of 40. So I think the main takeaway with looking at traditional advertising is saying, okay, there could be some advantages, but most likely it's age specific. And if it is appropriate for your business, it might be an opportunity because so few people use it now. Maybe the rates are cheap. I don't know. Probably a lot cheaper than when I was doing it back in the early and mid 2000s. So moving on here, Josh, we've got publicity. What do you think of publicity?
What would that be considered? What is considered publicity marketing?
Publicity is something that the guy with Virgin was really good at. What is his name?
The dude that owns the island?
Yeah,
Shoot.
yeah, yeah.
I
Yeah,
I know who you're talking about.
yeah, Branson.
Branson. You're Richard Branson.
Richard Branson. So I remember one time he tried to, like, fly around the world in, like, a hot air balloon,
Hmm.
or something like that. I maybe that wasn't it, but it was something like that, and the hot air balloon had, like, Virgin on the side of it, and this is gonna get a lot of publicity, right? I think
Mm.
another time he tried to break the world record for taking a boat across the English Channel. And so he's doing this for publicity for his company. So it's not directly
Yeah, I actually have a
advertising.
really good friend, who started LifeLock, Todd Davis. He's in
Yeah,
Kenny's YPO group, and
yeah.
so what he did is LifeLock, you can protect your security. So he went onto TV and gave everybody his Social Security number, and then he put it on a
Mm,
bunch of billboards. And so this went super viral and super famous, saying, "Look at the idiot who put his Social Security number out for the world to see." But that's because he developed a product that would protect your Social Security. And so in his case, I talked to him directly about this. It was one of the most life-changing moments in his company where
right.
they were getting a lot of lead gen, but they went from growing at a 10% rate to like a 500% rate because
Mm,
so many people learned about the product because it was such a good fit. And so I think that it's actually a really good way if you can think of a super unique way to market your product to get mass distribution and reach.
yeah,
But
I
now,
agree.
funny enough, that reach would come from social media. So if you did something super viral like that, it would go on Twitter clips, it would go on Instagram clips. Even if it's not you who's pushing it out, that's where the virality would spread.
Yeah, agree. So this is definitely something that's extremely viable. Event marketing. Well, we just got back from Limitless.
I can tell you that works.
Uh, but that's a little different because what you are doing is networking.
Yeah.
So what Josh is referring to is he went to Limitless and he's hanging around a lot of the speakers because a lot of the speakers are his clients. So that would be like guys like Kenny McElroy, Jeff Snyder was there, and a lot of the individuals that are in our mastermind group, some high level entrepreneurs. So as Josh was walking around, he would get introduced to all these people that wanted to come up and meet Kenny, as an example. And so Kenny would introduce them to Josh. They'd say, "Hey, Josh, what do you do?" They say, "Oh, I do Kenny's YouTube channel." Really? Wow. What do you do for Kenny? Oh, well, he brought me on when he was just getting 1,000 views per video, and now he's getting 100,000 views. That's not what Josh would say, but I'm just kind of streamlining it for you. And they'd say, "Wow, whoa, Josh, can you do that for me?" And then it just flows. So, Josh, how many clients did you get from Limitless?
We don't know yet, but I've had about 25 calls this week so far, and so I think we'll probably close about 10, and that's at a very high price as well. I mean, that would be ridiculous if we did end up closing 10.
Yeah. So, I don't want to give away Josh's price point here, but for him to take on a client, it's five figures uh, per month, per month. So just kind of keep that in mind. So that's very, very good. But what about event marketing as far as putting up a booth?
Yeah, I mean, you crushed it with that in the past. I would say absolutely. I know a lot of the guys that were running the booths because I closed them as clients at Limitless, but
Okay.
they crush it as well because I mean, you can talk to people face to face. If you have a good product, a good offer, and you're in the right rooms, then and you have a good sales team, you've made your entire business off this in the past. So I'm sure you could talk about it forever.
Yeah. And just to be clear, this video is about comparing content lead gen or content marketing to traditional marketing. So I know we're kind of getting broad here, but as soon as we get down to this list, then we're going to get specific on the pros and cons of content marketing, creating YouTube videos, and then we're going to kind of compare and contrast the two. All right. So event marketing, definitely something still viable. Guerrilla marketing. we used to we used to really do this. I
What is
used to
guerrilla marketing?
so as an example, when I was in San Francisco in 2001, was this 2000, maybe 2000, 2001, right around that time. And this was just a crazy, crazy business I was working with. I don't want to go into the details, but they had no budget. like literally zero budget. And they brought me in just to somehow generate revenue. And I'm like, well, okay. I don't know how I'm going to do that if my ad budget is literally zero. And this was before social. There was no Instagram. There was no social media. There was nothing. Right back then, it was like I said, pretty much just TV, radio, direct mail, and whatnot. So what I did is we had like a receptionist, and then we had a couple other employees in this business, and it wasn't my business. I was just basically hired to, I don't know if you want to call it a consultant or like just basically someone to go in there and just somehow turn it around with absolutely no resources. So there was a couple employees, I forgot who they were, but I said basically what I'm going to do is I'm going to send you out to the streets. So I literally, like, for 2 hours a day after lunch, I would have them just walk around like Union Square and walk around like up and down the main busy streets of San Francisco and try to talk to people about our service. Just random people. So it's like cold calling,
Yeah,
but
in
it's like
person.
cold approach with the
Sort of mystery
talks.
method.
Yeah, yeah. It's like cold approach, right? With the guys, with the gals, where they just go up to the mall, to them at the mall and try to get their phone number. But that's exactly what we would do, or that's what I had them do. And I kind of trained them, and I would go out there with them, and we would just go up to random people and talk to them and try to get them interested in what we did, and then
Man,
somehow
George,
get their phone
I
number.
hate those people when I'm walking down the street and someone's trying to holler at me to buy something from them.
Yeah, I mean, it sucks, but and I don't like it either. But that's all we had.
Yeah.
That's literally all we had.
So, but do you think it's still a viable marketing source? It might be because it's so unique and no one does anything like that. What are your thoughts?
I had people that were really good at it and people that were terrible at it just based on
Same
their
thing with the
personality.
mystery method, George. They just got to read Rollo's stuff.
Yeah, well, a lot of it's practice, and you gotta be really okay with rejection. It's suboptimal, right? Like, that would not be my first choice, but for a business that has 0 budget, I mean, that might be their only choice. What's great about today is you have social media, which is far, far, far more efficient than guerrilla marketing. But it is a tactic that I would definitely consider even today if I was with a startup that had 0 budget, but I would combine it with social media.
Hmm. Word of mouth.
Well, this is always going to be great. And this is what you're trying, this is what you're striving for. And it's all about under promising and over delivering. That's
Yeah,
what
that's
we,
just product. Or if you have a shit product, you're probably not going to have a lot of word of mouth, or it's going to be terrible word of mouth. So every single client that I've gotten has been word of mouth because if you just produce more results than what you're charging for, it's an easy sell. If you just
yeah.
really crush it and do an amazing job, it's the best thing in the entire world because you have too much demand, and then you can hopefully just continuously produce a high quality service to as many
But
people.
I think this and referral marketing are pretty much
The same.
very similar. But I think it's important that we analyze why it works really well, because I think this takes us straight into the analysis of, let's call it content marketing or YouTube marketing for your business. Because if you think about why that works so well, it's because if I know you well, so I know you, like you, trust you. If you told me, "Hey George, there's this new business that I'm working with and they would be great to help you set up your sales funnel for Rebel Capital's Pro." I would believe you and I would seriously consider hiring that business. Why? Because I know you, like you, and trust you. So, what's interesting is now let's kind of transition into talking about content marketing. And what I want to do, Josh, is I want to go over to the back end analytics for the Rebel Capitalist channel. And you pretty much know this well because you helped me start it back in the beginning of 2021. But what we've done since this time is we have almost 60 million views, and what's even more kind of mind blowing is the watch time. Look at this, 8.8 million hours. 8.8 million hours. Now, I don't know how many years that is, but My guess is it's a lot. So, or you could even put that into
That's so
lifetimes.
that's 1,000 years.
1,000 years.
1,004.
So people have been watching this channel for 1,000 years, or a combined total of 1,000 years. So my question to the audience right now is, how well do you think people know, like, and trust me, George Gammon, as a result of watching my videos, a combined total of 1,000 years? So we go back to this, and whether it's, let's say you were doing social media marketing with YouTube Shorts or TikTok. Let's say you were doing email marketing with just text. You were doing content marketing, which is blog posts. You were doing search engine marketing. You're doing traditional advertising. Any of these things that we talked about. Would you have the same level of know, like, and trust with the people you were reaching as you did if people, a combined total, watch your live streams? That's important. Live streams, totally authentic. It's never edited. You see all the mistakes I make. You see all my bad jokes. You see all the filler words. So this is as authentic as it can get without being face to face. And again, the aggregate total of 1,000 years. You see where I'm going with this. Content marketing does take a little bit more work, and it's a commitment. It absolutely is. But it's not like calling up a radio station and saying, "Hey, Clear Channel, I want my ad to run today at 2:30 or afternoon drive or whatever it is. Or I want a CNBC, I want my ad to run during whatever the power hour or whatever the show is called." It's much more in depth than that. It's much more of a commitment. But think about how good the leads are. Basically, if you believe, which I'm sure most of you do, word of mouth and referrals are the most powerful, and they're going to have the highest conversion rate because of what we talked about before. Think about a channel like the Rebel Capitalist that has 203,000 subscribers. 203,000 subscribers of people, not all of them, but a good majority of them know me, like me, and trust me. That's why they subscribe to begin with.
Or they just hate you so much, George.
Well, that could be it, but but hopefully that's not the majority. And they've watched it, and they've taken time out of their schedule to watch it almost 60 million times in 1,000 years. So, Josh, what would you add to that kind of very short Reader's Digest version analysis of content marketing, more specifically creating YouTube videos for marketing?
Yeah, the reason why it's so easy for me to get clients is because someone that other people trust recommend me. And
Right.
so I'm not doing any selling. I'm not hopping on the phone trying to handle objections, trying to tell someone why my product is better than other people's. They're qualifying themselves as to why they're a good fit for what I'm doing. And that makes a sale and a relationship super easy. It's the exact same psychology from content because someone has watched and nurtured themselves and can tell that you have the solution to their problems. They are already a buyer. They just want to purchase and start with you. It's a completely opposite dynamic of needing a super hardcore sales team that's just slimily trying to take the last dollar from some grandmother and finance their life to afford the product or service. It's people that already want to purchase from you that have found you from YouTube. And now they are just willing and open buyers with not a whole lot of effort.
Yeah. And I don't want to be too hard on salespeople, because I think salespeople often do a great job and provide a great service. But I understand what you're saying. So we talked about the speed and efficiency of paid advertising. Let's say now let's just lump it all together like you were doing. But to your point, you've got to manage people. You've got to manage a sales team. You've got to manage potentially telemarketers. I know I had a call center in the last business that was a 40-seat call center, and we would have to take calls all over the world, basically 24/7. And if you've never managed telemarketers, I can assure you, it's not like managing $500,000 an hour or $500,000 a year employees. It's basically like managing construction workers. It's difficult, is the point. It's very, very difficult. You're babysitting. So there's the pros and some of the cons, right? Where it's fast, it's efficient, but now all of a sudden you have this whole team of people that you have to babysit. You've got payroll, you've got employees suing you all the time, complaining, all these things that you have to deal with as an employer. And with content marketing, yes, you do have to make that commitment up front. Yes, Josh and I have had to do, I don't even know how many videos on the Rebel Capitals channel. Let's say 1,000, maybe more, 2,000 videos. And that does take time. Fortunately, we're talking about stuff that we enjoy, but it is a commitment of time. So the question becomes, would you rather commit your time to discussing something on YouTube that you enjoy? Or would you rather take that same time and energy and allocate it to babysitting people who just got out of prison? And obviously, I'm taking it to an extreme there, using the telemarketers, because we did have some of those. We did have some of those on our telemarketing team. But this is, and I'm not trying to sway you one way or the other, but I want to make sure that the business owners out there, even if you're starting a business and your background or what you're more familiar with is traditional marketing or even paid marketing, like you were talking about, Josh, whether that's in Google ads, whether that's Facebook ads, whether that's radio, TV, etc. I want to encourage you to consider the alternatives, and I would consider doing both,
Yeah.
because there are some benefits with content marketing that you absolutely cannot get with paid marketing. It's just not possible. And the upside there, like we said, is the sales process is a lot more streamlined because of that level of trust. And therefore, you have to manage a lot fewer employees, which, as entrepreneurs or aspiring entrepreneurs, you guys know that's the most difficult part. That's the most difficult part of being an entrepreneur or manage or owning your own business, is managing people.
Yeah, and so with ad spend, that gets forever more expensive as well. What you're
Mhm.
paying today always is going to be increasing over time because of the competition and demand, where YouTube and social media is the opposite, where it's free. But it's not just free, they actually pay you. As if you saw George's analytics, it's not just that he has 200,000
Yeah, I'll go
subscribers,
back
but
there.
they paid him $350,000 to get 60 million people to watch and care about what George is doing, which is the opposite of paid media. But the biggest benefit that you might see is how, if you are already really good at running paid media, once you start organic traffic, it lowers your cost of ad spend substantially because people are seeing ads from someone that they already know, like, or trust. Whereas opposed to being a cold ad to a cold audience that they may have never seen you before, now people are seeing you and they've already seen you on YouTube, and then you can target those people, which increases your return on ad spend substantially.
Yeah, I wanted to just pull up a specific video for the viewers because it's just kind of abstract when you look at terms or look at analytics in terms of like 5 years and like 340 or 350,000. But if you can just look at it in terms of a video, this is a video I just did about a week ago or so. And it's a 40-minute video, has 55,000 views. And right here, basically made 400 bucks,
Yeah, I wonder how much
380.
it would cost you to show 55,000 people for a paid ad to watch a
Exactly.
40-minute video, to watch a VSL of
Yeah.
yours. If
It
how much
wouldn't yeah, it wouldn't cost you negative $389. It would
no.
pay you, the TV station or Facebook would not pay you $389, that's for sure. Now, also, Josh, what I wanna talk about is evergreen content, because my videos are, especially on the Rebel Capitalist channel, are more about what's happening in the news today. So they're topical. So what you're gonna see, let me just pull up one that would be a good example. So new housing data is getting scary. All right, so let's go to the analytics here and look at this. You see this, guys? This is what happens when you do topical stuff, and it's channel per channel, right? But ideally, if you're doing this for your business, it's nice if you can throw in some evergreen content, which I'll show you in just a moment, would sit there and not only make money for you in terms of your YouTube revenue over a long period of time, but would also constantly generate leads. It could be generating leads for you for the next 5 years. And so let's go to another channel, Josh. Let's just go to, and this isn't a perfect example, but I think people will get the idea. And if we go to this video I did with Barnes, this is far more evergreen than what I usually do on the Rebel Capitalist channel, because this was an interview. And let's go to the title. Do they show the title here? It was basically on Epstein. It was Epstein, and we were talking about the cover up, and Barnes has a lot of intel on this. So look at the difference here between. So first of all, it's going like it normally does, and then starts to plateau, and then boom, the algorithm really like picks it up and turbocharges it. But even today, this video is how old, Josh? This video is July 22nd.
It's
So
two and a half, 3 weeks.
yeah, so let's call it 3 weeks, and it's still getting,
50
well,
or
let's yeah,
7,000
in
views
fact,
per
let me just do the last 24 hours. Can I do that on here? I thought I
Yeah,
could.
well, you can see it in the right where it's uploading real time, the last
Oh,
48
there you
hours.
go.
So
Yeah,
it's
good call. So even the last 60 minutes, let's do that. Look at this.
300 people.
275 views in the last hour. In the last hour. So I know a lot of other channels that have some really great evergreen content. Like, let's do this just to give people a specific example. Let's go over to Graham's station because his channel, because he does this extremely well. He mixes it up like every third video or so.
That's what
Will
I do
be
for Ken as well. So for
okay.
Ken, the strategy is we do 2 evergreen videos and 1 topical video. The topical one is a live stream to really nurture and cultivate an audience, but also to exploit on if something is happening real time to be the first mover in your space to get a big jolts of views. Because if something's topical, you want to report on it as quickly as you can, which is why George does daily live streams. But for evergreen videos, you want those to get views for as long period of time as possible.
I mean, this is a perfect example right here, Josh. Can you see this?
Yeah, how to save $10,000 ASAP. That will be applied today. It'll apply a year from now. It'll apply 10 years
That's right.
from now.
That's right. So, where as opposed to this one, breaking Federal Reserve triggered a dollar reset, rate cuts canceled.
Yeah, that's topical for about 2 weeks.
That's right. Exactly right. So now let's click on this and see what links he has. So his newsletter. So he's going to be getting emails from this video for the next 5 years. Let's just say he's got an affiliate link in here with Webull. So he's going to be making money on this, not just from YouTube, but he's going to be making money off this affiliate link for the next 5 years.
He also has a sponsor there.
So he's going to be able to charge more for this, by the way. I would charge more to the sponsor if it was an evergreen video. So he's got more affiliate links.
Yeah, Rocket Money.
Rocket
Oh, those are
Money.
more sponsors. Yeah. So, I mean, from this one video, he's monetizing it a ton of different ways, but YouTube is his business. If
And right
this
here,
was your
Josh, look at this. My entire camera and recording equipment.
Nice. That's what we should have, George.
I know.
We're failing.
I know. As soon as we get some time, we got to set that up. But this is a perfect example of a video that probably took him, let's just say 4 or 5 hours.
So, George, can you click on his channel too? Because what you'll see is his most popular videos on his channel are going to be the evergreen ones.
Yeah,
But
good call. Let's do that.
and because of that is because they get views over time. Whereas the topical ones, they get a lot of views initially, but it's the slow buildup of getting those 300 views per day for a few years on end that really move the needle.
Yeah, look at the titles here, Josh. I bought a Tesla for $78 per month. That's
Wow.
going to be, and this is 6 years ago.
8 million views. Wow.
And I guarantee he's still getting views on this.
Yeah.
Met the $250 million man. That's obviously evergreen. Look at this one. How to buy your first rental property step by step. Talk about evergreen, right? How much money Mr. Beast makes. What happened to Santa Monica? That's kind of evergreen. I think that just got a ton of views because it kind of went viral. Right here, my Tesla 3 regrets. The truth after 15,000 miles. Mega evergreen. Mega evergreen. Unboxing the $10 million invite only credit card.
He probably got sponsored by that too.
Yeah. Yeah. So I think everyone at home gets it. I think they understand, and we could go on and on and on about this topic for hours on end, but I think that's great way to just kind of scratch the surface and give people something to think about. And hopefully the main takeaway here is that I wouldn't ignore traditional marketing. I think it's something that's viable, but in today's day and age, you have an awesome, awesome, incredibly powerful tool at your disposal, and that is content marketing. And I would argue more specifically with YouTube, because through video, this is the best way to get people to know, like you, and trust you. If you're doing content marketing through blog posts, people aren't really going to know you. If you're even doing that with a podcast, I mean, that's better than a blog post, but video is the ultimate. I cannot tell you how many people come up to me on the street or come up to me at these conferences and they say, George, I've never met you, but I feel like I know you because I watch your videos every single day. That is incredibly, incredibly powerful. And that type of marketing is something that you literally can't buy. All right, guys, on that bombshell, enjoy the rest of your afternoon. As always, make sure you're standing up for freedom, liberty, free market capitalism. See you on the next video.